of the world. Oh, my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's ways. Torah Life Ministries.
Hello everybody, it's Paul Neeson with Torah Life Ministries, and I'm here to do this week's Torah Parashah. And this week we're reading Torah Parashah number 38, which comes from Numbers 16:1 to Numbers 18:32. And we see a pattern developing, and it continues to develop all throughout the Torah. It's Moses and Aaron. They lead the children of Israel out of slavery in Egypt, to leave all that behind, to get to the promised land. But to get there, they have to go through some trials in the desert. And it doesn't take 40 years to travel from Egypt to Israel. Even if you're on foot, it doesn't take 40 years. But if you're disobedient to Yahweh's instructions, and if you're going against His guidelines, it'll take 40 years or even longer. And you might not even get there. Just like the children of Israel, they didn't get there because they kept complaining. And the pattern that we see here is they kept thinking about Egypt and they weren't thinking about the promised land. So even though physically they left Egypt, emotionally and spiritually, they were still in slavery and in bondage, and they still wanted what Egypt had to offer. They'd rather had the comforts of knowing that they're going to get food, even though it's not under freedom, that they got to be fed when somebody tells them to be fed. They know that they're going to get certain cares and being watched over, but somebody has to tell them when and how. Sounds kind of familiar, folks, doesn't it? Sounds kind of like a place called the United States. People are scared to leave the slavery of the governmental jobs and the governmental programs and so on, because they want that health insurance, so they'll work a whole life doing something they don't like to do, with people they don't want to be with, because they don't want to lose the comfort to know when something happens that somebody's going to be there to help them. But they got to spend their whole life in slavery because that person's telling them exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and who to do it with. Well, folks, we can get out of that. It says in the scriptures, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The real health insurance is Yahweh's insurance. He's the one that'll give you the insurance. If the real jobs we should have is working for Him, and then we have all the freedom to go out there and spreading the gospel and spreading the good news. He'll guide our way, and when there's a need, He provides it. So folks, there's no security in working in a big corporation. The only real security comes from working for Yahweh and knowing who He is. And this week we see the pattern that's always developing. The people here, it says in Numbers 16:2, rebelled against Moses. Rebelling against Yahweh's officer, rebelling against the person that Yahweh put there to lead them, against the leader that Yahweh designed, rebelling against them. Those that rebelled also caused others to rebel, which made Yahweh's anger flare even more, and the earth swallowed them up, and they died instantly. It says they didn't die a natural death, like we're supposed to. So they say they rebelled against Moses, and they said to him, actually, you take too much on yourself. Let us have some of it. Let us do some of it. We're set apart also. And Moses knew. Moses said, oh, really? You think so? So Moses said, you have no idea what I've been through and what I'm going through and how I'm trying to lead you, and all you do is complain and everything else. And this was going back and forth, and then finally Moses says, you know what? You come out in the morning with your 250 people that you want to rebel against us, because when you rebel against me, you're rebelling against Yahweh. And I'll be there, and let's see who Yahweh chooses. Let's see. And what does Yahweh say in return? Yahweh says, tell all the people to separate themselves from those people that are rebelling themselves against me, because the earth is going to open them up and swallow them up, and they're going to die instantly. And that's exactly what happened. Folks, you have to understand, you need to separate yourself from those people that are unholy and those people that are rebelling against Yahweh and rebelling against His word and living against it. You need to separate yourself from them, because the earth will swallow them up and they will be done before their time, just like they were in this week's reading. So we have to wake up, folks, and we have to start getting serious about this, because we are set apart in a good way. We are holy, and we have to make sure we maintain that. The scriptures go so far to say, it calls them here in Numbers 16:26, it says, leave the tents of these wicked men. Don't touch anything that belongs to them. We need to leave the tents of the wicked world and get away from those things. Now, I'm not telling you not to talk to your friends and families that aren't believers, but to fellowship with them, is another thing. If you are going to be with them, at least set an example. That's the work that Yahweh wants us to have us doing. Making disciples, not just going along with what they're doing. So we see all these things in this week's reading, and we see here even Yahweh getting so upset because even after that, even after all he's done, taking them out, the Red Sea parted, even after all that, the people still complaining, but now they even have the audacity to actually go to Moses and Aaron and saying, well, some of our people died because of you. It wasn't because of Moses and Aaron that those people died, it was because of their rebellion against Yahweh that they died. They brought it on themselves. Just like people bring it on themselves today. But the people still didn't listen. And they said here in Numbers, they go in Numbers 17, it says that the people said, because you destroyed our people, we don't want anything to do with you. We want to go back to Egypt before we die. But Yahweh said, no. I'm going to show the people what's going on. And he created a plague to happen. And that plague, almost 15,000 people died in that plague. It says 14,700 people, besides those who died in the other incident, when it got swallowed in the earth, died from this plague. But Moses, being the man of Yahweh that he is, stepped in and said, Yahweh, please don't do this. Moses fell on his face and asked Yahweh to stop this. Folks, how much longer is this going to keep happening? It's time we woke up. It says here in the ending of this week's Torah reading, it says in Numbers 18:32, because you will have set aside for yourself the best of your parts, you will not be committing any sin because of it. For you are not to profane the body of the holy things or the people of Israel, or you will die. This is the instructions that Yahweh gave Moses to give the house of Aaron, the Levi, the priest of Yahweh. Who are his priests today? The people that are representing him. Who are his mouthpieces today? We are, folks. And we are to say here that things have been set aside for us. Yahweh has set the best aside for us today. And it says we are not to profound the holy things. We are not to profound these things, or we will die. Now we're all going to die, but we will die before our time, as the scriptures say clearly. Folks, as Yahweh's mouthpiece, as his priests, as his soldiers, we have a job to do, and we got to do it. And that is to separate ourselves from the unclean things, to destroy the unclean things. The mouth is the sword, so destroy them with the sword. Destroy them with the mouth. Talk them down. Talk bad about those things that aren't of Yahweh. And talk good about all that he has to offer, because he went out of the way to set apart his holy things for us, and we are not to profound it. Okay, everybody, this is Paul Neeson with the Torah Life Ministries saying thanks for checking us out.
Come out of the world, oh my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's ways.